Good morning again. I am freshly showered and it's not too cold out here this morning, so that is why I have this freshly scrubbed appearance, if you will. I am about to do daily spread day number 4, and if you haven't seen these other videos, I have kind of evolved what was one day of intuitive paint with me into an ongoing series for as long as the energy lasts, called the Daily Spread, where I'm going to be painting or drawing or just creating a new spread every day, and just chatting about the process of intuitive art and what it really means to be intuitive. The word intuitive has gotten really trendy over the last number of years, and to be frank, a lot of people who use the term don't even know what they're talking about. It's just kind of, oh, that's a trend, and I need to jump on it, and here we go. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I believe that anyone, encouraging others to be expressive and to create art is doing a great service. And there's still a lot of people who are afraid to really be intuitive, to do their own thing. They want to mimic or copycat their teachers, their art teachers, their spiritual teachers, their schooling teachers or whatnot, and jump on another bandwagon. And jumping on a bandwagon is actually the opposite of your intuition, because you kind of get pulled along and jump into some of that tribal consciousness. So intuition is really about going within yourself and expressing your own unique creativity, however that may look. And part of the idea for this daily spread exercise is, for me, it's just continued curiosity and investigation and letting myself sink in to my own marks and my own flow. But allowing you all to accompany me on this journey is kind of to, if you don't really know what your preferences are, to give you a chance to explore them in just a few minutes a day. And hopefully over the course of, I'm guessing it might be a 30-day series, but who knows, the energy could change. Over the course of 30 days, you'll be able to look back and start to see patterns and start to remember what you really enjoyed and what you really didn't, and really start to hone in on your own intuitive preferences, which then is, your soul's genius. So let's walk over to the table and get going. All right, so here's today's setup. You see my little arm where I'm going to clip my phone. I've got water, I've got coffee, I've got my Gouache Studio paints, some alcohol markers, pastels, water-soluble markers, ink brush markers, a paint pen back there, and some pastels. And then here is the book that I have begun. It's funny how I skipped the first spread. I guess then the second spread, that was day 1. That was day 2. That was day 3. And now we're going for day 4. All right, so here we go, and let's see how much time I've got before the sun starts peeking out. I am rustling around in my brushes, and this is the brush that I'm working with today. It's just an angle brush. I tend to like these, for mark making as opposed to just smushing color around. And right now I'm just taking my water and I am activating these pans of gouache paint. And I really enjoy this set of paints, the Caran d'Ache pan set. The other gouache I have is all in tubes, and so I was nervous actually about trying this set. However, I find that I really enjoy it. And I am really just allowing myself to tune in and focus on this page and not even need to get super rushed about it. And yes, I'm aware this is becoming a pattern. This is simply where my intuition is going, which colors I'm going to use, which marks I'm going to make. Just kind of allowing the flow and knowing that, nobody ever has to see this again. This is my space for my own exploration. And it's funny because I find that there are a lot of artists, who do sketchbook tours and everything online. And I have no desire to work towards being able to do a sketchbook tour, because that means that all my art will be expected to look a certain way, will be expected to be, perfect, like frame-worthy art in a sketchbook. And to me, it completely destroys my creativity. That's not what I want a sketchbook for. Sketchbooks for me, I find it's okay. I mean, I do share spreads for my sketchbooks sometimes. Sometimes I'll flip through batches of them. But for me, sketchbooks aren't like a portfolio. My portfolio is not my sketchbook. For me, sketchbooks are a place to play and to explore new techniques, to explore new combinations of materials. For instance, I've used the Sketchy app a lot for photo references to practice drawing portraits. And I don't practice drawing portraits in that I expect each one to be final. I practice portraits in that I wonder what would happen if I did a portrait with colored pencil and gouache. I wonder what would happen if I used Crayola markers and graphite. I wonder what would happen if. And it's that exploration that for me is really the fuel. And so if I would embark on a sketchbook with the sole goal of being able to share a number of polished final frameable spreads, then it would deter me from experimenting and exploring. And that curiosity, again, the states of curiosity and wonder are those childlike innocent states that lead us, that create the space, that open up the space for our creativity. I mean, I've noticed even on social media, I have consciously stopped posting all of my work on social media because I felt a pressure. I really felt, like if I posted something, then I wondered if people would like it, and will I get comments, and will it sell? And then if things didn't sell, I would allow myself to devalue my own self. And that's just a vicious cycle, and there's no point. There's no purpose to it. Now I'm feeling like bringing in some, this is water-soluble oil pastel, and I'm going to take a sip of coffee here. Just allowing my hand to move, and how cool is that gouache wasn't even dry, and I ended up activating it. So now I'm gonna bring the pastel through here. Need to hold this down and just see. I'm really enjoying these marks. I am having fun, which also is the point. When you're having fun, your frequency elevates. And again, you're receptive. You're more receptive for what else might come. Now, this is water soluble, so I'm taking... Hey guys. I guess they are sensing something. That's the one thing about living kind of in the mountains is there are noises. There are animal noises. There are all kinds of noises. And, of course, our dogs are doing their job, right, by signaling to us when there's something suspicious. Suspicious or exciting, because we have lots of little critters running around as well. Little lizards and chipmunks and all kinds of stuff like that. All right, now, feeling like I want to use, this is an ink brush pen, the Mermaid Markers from Jane Davenport, which I love, and I have to admit, I kind of hoard them in that I don't use them as much as I could because I'm afraid of them running out. And I don't have a Michael's store that carries them near me, so I would have to order them, and then it would just take a long time. And I'm just creating excuses, really, but I need to use them more. I do love them. They are kind of my favorite. And now I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm just squeezing. I'm trying to squeeze out a little more ink. I'm going to loosen this a little bit to try and get a little more ink out at once. Again, there's no plan to this. I'm simply simply smushing, smushing, smushing. Smushing, smushing. And adding this color here. Where else do I want to add the color? Really just kind of going within and allowing this. And, you know, I find these sessions too are kind of a good, just sitting down with some materials and playing are also a good way to, you know, do some other kinds of processing or really, you know, focus on your own energetic state. I do a lot of energy clearing work. I'm also an energy healer, so I am kind of constantly monitoring my state, and sometimes I will use sessions like these to kind of dig a little bit deeper. And now I'm going to use this pastel. Let's see what comes of this. Just smushing it around. I really love kind of the creaminess of these. These are the Stabilo Woody. Water soluble crayon, kind of. I wouldn't call it a colored pencil because it's really, really creamy. And all my colored pencils are not, I don't know, not this texture. This is really more the texture of a soft pastel or an oil pastel, but it is in the shape of a pencil. So I'm just adding that. And now I'm feeling like bringing in some more of that orange and some more yellow. So we're gonna go down. And they're getting, the gouache pans have really activated now because I let the water sit on them. So I'm really getting some thicker paint. And again, I mean, I noticed that I kind of start to work a little bit in patterns, and that's not intentional. It just turns out that that's kind of my way of expressing. So don't feel like you need to balance things out or create any kind of pattern. And I'm not doing it consciously. I find that that's just how I intuitively create. So now I'm bringing out in another ink brush. Just adding in some more colors. I mean, I really do find that if I'm trying to create something, like if I'm trying to do a person or an animal or something, while I do work intuitively in that I bring in the energy of, you know, the person or the animal, I, you know, am trying to create some kind of specific result or a likeness or, you know, a likeness to a person, for example. So it is more difficult to be purely freely intuitive other than, you know, color choice or mark making or something like that. Now I've got these oil pastels that I am bringing in. Just adding to my paper. And you'll notice I'm making these little swirlies, kind of swirly scribbles. And that is something, again, that I have just found is something I enjoy. I really just love scribbling and traveling around the page. So that's what I'm doing. And you've seen, you know, I've got a variety of supplies around here. So this isn't planned either. It's kind of, I will take a look up and I will kind of notice which supplies draw my eye. And then I will grab one. Now I've got a darker one, so feeling kind of like I'm going to make some scribble lines. And for whatever reason, I'm going with more of a jagged scribble at the moment. the crossing the spread was an intentional decision. It was really bugging me that I was working on each side kind of by itself, and I wanted it to be more of a whole piece. So here we go. Just adding colors and textures and moving around the page. And I mean, I guess I do tend to be silent when I'm doing these. Sometimes I'll put on music, or I'll be listening to a podcast or something like that, just to kind of keep something in the background for my mind, so that I'm not tempted to really get into my mind, and then I kind of really just create the way it is. So these were just Pentel oil pastels, just cheap little oil pastels. And with that, I think I am done for the day. And here we go, coming in for our close-up. Right there. And you know, I could keep going, but I don't feel like keeping going. Oh my goodness, I can't even talk. I think I need to drink more of my coffee. So we'll get a little bit closer, and you can see some of the texture. You see all the various texture, the brush marks from kind of some dry brush that came through, that Portfolio oil pastel, the different pastels, the Stabilo water-soluble pastel, the regular oil pastel. You can just see all kinds of texture marks where the pastel kind of dug into some still wet gouache. And you know, you really start to build up some depth here. And it's at the depth of my own expression, right? So your expression is going to look totally different, and that is completely fine. And these really are meant to be explorations. So, you know, it's okay. Just looking at this, I noticed I used a lot of the same colors that I did on day one, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? So you're developing your own voice. You're exploring your own voice. And the more that you allow yourself to be open to your own voice coming in and expressing itself, which it can't do when our minds are clamped down and when we're really focused and intent and have this, you know, hard and fast agenda about what we need to do and what it needs to look like, then we clamp down on the energy and it really can't flow. So allowing yourself these kinds of completely playful and inspired and free sessions, even if, I mean, I looked at my camera and it looked like it took about like under 15 minutes to do that spread. And, you know, 15 minutes isn't a big chunk of time. You could fit it in pretty much anywhere. It's something that you could do even while you are, you know, making dinner, if you set a sketchbook on the counter, or in your car if you are, you know, sitting outside a store, or you're waiting for someone that you're picking up or something like that. So anyway, I'm really enjoying this exploration, and I hope you are too, and I'll see you tomorrow.